All right, here we go. Spawning up at the top right. Representing ENCE Esports. It is the GOAT, the finisher. Give it up for Serral. In the red.
And his opponent in the bottom left in the blue. He's on a 7-map win streak right now for Team GP. Give it up for Ryung.
And Beowulf. What is it we see right here on the natural expansion?
Why, my dear Steadfast, this would appear to be a command center first against the Zerg player, which knowing Serral's proclivities and knowing the map and knowing the expectations maybe of Ryung, I think this is a brilliant move.
I have to agree. This is a situation where Serral, he knows he's going up against a player who, on paper, he thinks he should beat. And that confidence is very well founded. And what is he thinking he could lose to the most easily? Proxy 2 racks. So he is looking everywhere with these overlords, and that means he's not going to find out about this command center first. Ryung's response, I love it. I love so much more that he goes for economic greed instead of going for the very quick proxy 2 racks, proxy 3 racks, maybe even proxy 4 racks, some kind of cheese to start this off. I like that he instead tries to get an early jump in his economy.
And make no mistake about it, Steadfast, this is cheese. It is just not of the variety we're used to seeing. You talked about the 4 CC play that we saw Spirit attempt that definitely did not work, but it's macro cheese. It's about finding ways to just get so far ahead economically, because the core tenet of StarCraft, we can talk about how it is a game of, well, you have to destroy your opponent's buildings. It's a game where maybe it's about APM and no, at the end of the day, it's about money. It's about being able to make more than your opponents and then do something with it, of course. Oh, is this a Blue Flame Hellion build?
I think it is, and I am so happy to see such a bold move from Ryung to start things off. We are going to have a starport coming on down. I mean, he wasn't going to let that ling in anyways, but, you know, it's always nice to drop that down. Serral gets the scout. He sees his command center first, and what has he done? He's kept 2 drones on gas. I talked about confidence, and it is very good that he has that because he's going for a very aggressive scouting move. This is what made Serral famous, and it is what is going to save his bacon in this game number 1. He's going to be able to get in here and figure out what's going on.
And yeah, of course, this move from Ryung can be very, very good. You run up 8, 12, 15 Blue Flame Hellions into a mineral line, everything dies. You don't have the response to it. But if you see that, okay, yeah, I see that second factory. I see the tech lab on it. Wait, okay. Serral's just going to wait for Pneumatized Carapace to complete, so he'll be fine there. And then he's going to get a full scout off on the main base, find his way in before the Viking is complete. So he sees the factory hiding. And now we probably should see a Roach Warren get dropped down fairly quickly, Bailey Nest, something like that. That will allow him to deal with copious amounts. And there we go. Roach Warren will be the play. So Serral should be well prepared to deal with this. But look at this. Ryung doing it a little bit different. Yes, we have Hellions on the map. He's going to get a couple workers there. Nice little spore trick. And so only 1 worker will go down. We got a medevac on the way. These are going to be Blue Flame Hellion drops with a push at the front.
They sure are. And okay. All right. He is going to go into perma-cloaked Widow Mines with, I gotta assume it is going to be, oh my goodness. He actually canceled Blue Flame. Yeah, he's going to go for the Drilling Claw Widow Mines drop, the style that gave Cure a very, very good name in this matchup and allows him to take down Raynor and Serral in very quick succession when they were taking over this matchup. What was that, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, that was actually right. That was King of Battle qualifiers and the main event where he just goes at the first one. And yeah, again, Widowmine drops. It looked broken. It defined the meta for a solid 3 months at the very least before Zerg players got a little bit more used to it. But this is such a big brain play from Ryung, but we have to remember, Steadfast, sometimes you can be a little bit, you can try to be smart. You can try to go and outthink your opponent, but you make so many changes in the way the game is going that at the end of the day, it does not really matter. Now we're going to see the Widowmine boost into the main base here. Is Serral paying attention? Oh, he does have the pull. Zerglings, though, they're going to surround, and there we go. Widowmine goes down, and it triggers on an Overlord. Is Serral pushing across the map here, punishing Ryung for having the temerity, the gall to go for 3 different builds, all the greed. It's not going to work out, but Hellions, though, they're going to dive into the third base, and if Ryung can hold this, he has a big potential here to get a lot of worker damage. SCV's getting pulled in the main because there's nothing in this map that deals with roaches.
Absolutely not. He is going to try and drop the Widow Mines. Will not be able to get them set up. Yeah, there's no way he can hold this push. He's got nothing that deals with these roaches. We are going to see the wall fall. He is getting damage done on the other side of the map, which is something that probably shouldn't have happened. Serral should have been able to get on top of those Hellions with the Lings as they were running on creep, but it's not going to matter. These roaches and ravagers will not be dealt with. The corrosive vials are going to land it on those SCVs. Ryung is being broken as we speak. And GG is going to get called a very quick game number 1. Serral, I mean, he lives up to his name as the finisher right there.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea from Ryung playing against the idea of what Ryung may or may not be going for. Oh, Proxy T-Rex, I'm going to be greedy as hell. But it did feel like maybe he tried to be a little bit too smart. You know, go one step further. Oh, my Blue Flame Hellion thing gets scouted. Okay, well, let me just go play a normal game. Although, in fairness, the Blue Flame Hellion thing getting scouted and then not doing any sort of anti-roach tech was maybe not the type of big brain play that Ryung did need. Because, well, how do you handle Blue Flame Roaches or Blue Flame Hellions? You get roaches. So.
Yeah, that's it was still a good move, because when you see a very quick Overlord speed, and as the Zerg player, when you commit to Overlord speed, you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I've spent money on scouting, and obviously Serral didn't fall for this, which is very impressive from a mental fortitude standpoint, but it's very easy to be like, well, this is a macro play. Like, I'm playing to not die to this, so I've invested money into this, I shouldn't attack. But it's like, well, no, actually, Blue Flame Hellions is very, it's very expensive. It's very expensive. It doesn't get you much in terms of defensive utility. And as a result, yeah, it's a very quick game number 1 victory for Serral. He just pulls the trigger.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about this series is that, or this game, is that it tells us absolutely nothing about Ryung's TVZ acumen. Oh, he went for a cheeky build, he got scouted, and he got smacked. Maybe this tells us that he doesn't feel comfortable in the matchup against Serral, which, I mean, fair. Serral, number 4 in EPT rankings, odds-on favorite to win the tournament, probably. Scary, scary player, especially with the offline buff. And so maybe that tells us something about how Ryung is confident in this matchup or not. But it doesn't really tell us much about his form.
No, it does not. And maybe he's not really planning to. Maybe that's his game plan, is he's like, you know what? I don't need to beat these Zergs to make it out of this group. My goal is 3rd place. And if I run into Zergs in the bracket, well, that's when I bust out builds that I actually have intention. That's when I really show how I'm looking. But until then, we're just going to chill. And as I say that, we are getting into game number 2 on Berlingrad. Shorter rush distance map. Better for big pushes. Let's see what Ryung decides to go for.
Yeah, let's see whether the hype train is going to hit a couple breaks. But of course, we got every Ryung series today except maybe the last one. So who knows? But for now, Berlingrad is that second map. Does Serral dumpster dominate? Ryung once again put a little bit of a water on our hype train. Or do we get a game number 3? It's here. It's game 2.
And here he is, spawning up at the top left, representing ENCE Esports. Give it up for Serral.
His opponent in the bottom right in the blue, looking to take us to game number 3 and continue his insane miracle run. He is from Team GP, Ryung.
And he's doing it again. He's going for another command center first. And this is an even better build order advantage than game number 1, because Serral, He's thinking to himself, okay, after that game, you are only going to go for cheeky shenanigans. You have to be proxy raxing me. I'm going 16 pool. I'm not risking it. And a 16 pool versus a command center first is not an ideal situation for the Zerg. You don't get the Zerglings across the map in time to cancel the command center. You don't get much damage done. There's going to be units out in time for when these Lings show up. This is a very big build order advantage for Ryung, as long as everything shakes out the way that it should.
Yeah, of course, also you talk about not getting those Zerglings out on the map. Normally with this build, you don't even necessarily get Lings anyways if you don't scout the 2 racks, if you're not worried about that. But still, 6 Lings are going to be on the way here. And we're just going to have to see whether Serral runs them across the map or not. Everything you said is correct, StatFast. I just wonder whether the rush distance to Berlingrad is going to have maybe some slight variations in that. Maybe you get to the command center just enough time to delay it. But for now, assuming Ryung gets away with this, assuming he is able to mine at some level of frequency, as you said, it's a significant economic advantage for Ryung here. But of course, Serral, he is on the other side of the map now, or will be soon, and there's maybe a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it is important that Ryung has a wall for this. He did not scout. He is gone, no scout. And what I was kind of hoping we might see from Serral is actually a roach warning drop. This is something that the player Rattata, formerly known as Vanya, loves to do. Right now, there's no wall at the front. If these Lings came in, this would be a crap ton of damage, actually. They would force a lot of SCVs to be pulled. There'd be a lot of lost mining time. But right now, Serral, he didn't send his overlords in a position that could watch for a Reaper, but it's not going to matter. He's going to go in now. There's just the 1 Marine. The greed of Ryung is going to be very costly for him. That's why you wall the front.
Yes, StatFast.
That is why.
Wait. I was going to say, this is almost disrespectfully greedy from Ryung here. But what he has done, he has walled the Zerglings back into his side, into his base. So these 6 Zerglings are guaranteed to die, unless actually they might get the supply depot. But assuming that supply depot does stay up, it does mean that it is going to be 300 minerals. Oh, great micro here from Ryung, keeping that Marine alive, baiting Serral into it. And now to go down, the fighting potential of this force a little bit less. And with the Hellion here, yeah, we saw some SCVs get pulled, but remember, this is a greedy build from Ryung, and he keeps the Marine alive.
That was very nice micro from Ryung. Serral with a very, very nifty move, almost got that Marine. Ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered too much, but was that worth it for Serral? You damn bet it was. He just lost so much mining time, did Ryung. What was that, 6 SCVs? 5 SCVs not mining for like a minute? That is absolutely worth the early pool and 150 minerals that it cost him. Didn't get the Marine, but it's not a big deal. He also forced 2 Marines to be built off the reactor, which means Ryung has less Hellions than he'd like to and more Marines than he'd like to. So now, is that going to affect his game plan? Well, we'll see. He's getting a quick stim. I don't know what the intention is with this. He went for a 1-1-1. What do you think the follow-up's going to be, Behemoth?
StatFast, we've seen some builds where sometimes the Terran runs across the map, and it's not necessarily a Hellbat build, something like that, but they drop 5-6 Marines in a medevac. They go across the map, and it's a little bit of additional pressure on top of the Hellions. But for now, Ryung, he's dropping 2 additional barracks before that 3rd base. He's going to have a little bit more of aggressive option here. Actually, a much more aggressive option here. His stim is about halfway done. And Serral, he's getting... His Baneling's got to be a misclick, right? The aggression from Ryung is not incoming for another minute.
He's sensing a Hellbat push, but we got to talk about something bigger. Serral got supply blocked very, very badly in this game just now. He got supply blocked at 66 to 66 for almost 30 seconds, which is a very, very critical mistake when you're trying to ramp your economy up. And as a result, look at this, the worker count, it's actually in favor of Ryung for just a moment right there. And that's because Serral was not able to spend his money, was not able to save his larva. That's a really, really big misstep, and Ryung's gonna be going for a 2-base push, and Serral is really convinced that this is a big Hellbat push.
He is. 1 Baneling doesn't make a lot of sense. 1 Baneling will never do anything for you, which is why I'm worried. You know, getting up to 3 or 4 against the Hellbat push, that's going to be a lot better. But again, yeah, this is not what Ryung is doing. The allowing just a little bit of scouting from Serral totally convinced him that it is something it is not. But instead, this really feels like a TVP build. Ignore the Hellions for a moment because they are not part of that normal build, but It is going to be +1 stim combat shields off of 3 racks, 311, with a couple tanks as well, probably hitting right around 7 minutes. And if Serral keeps doing what he's doing, kind of getting a little bit of army, a little bit of an economy, I'm a little bit worried for the Finnish Phenom. Yeah, he's a great player. Yeah, he's absolutely favored in this series, but even the greats can fall down on a map when they just get absolutely fooled.
And that is certainly something that can happen, but a big advantage for Serral is the fact that even though he got supply blocked and his build was slowed down significantly, he went for a quick layer and a very fast baneling speed. Yes, he's not going to have that 1-1, but he'll have it eventually, and he will have this baneling speed in a pretty good timing to deal with this big 5 racks 2 base push. This is a heavy commitment and has become pretty common on Berlingrad. For now, he did take down these rocks on the right side. That's going to help him a lot. Scan's going to come forward. He's going to clear out a lot of creep. Ryung, ooh, I don't think he knows about this flank that Serral set up.
No, he doesn't, but he is hitting before baneling speed in this 2 base all in, because that is effectively what it is. The tanks, they're going to get sieged up on creep. Ryung not wanting to spend scans on removing creep too much else, but there we go. Scan goes down, so at the very least, it's going to be a little bit harder for Serral to knock things down, removing the rally, making that a little bit harder to move in. And now Ryung, it's hard for him to figure out exactly where to go. Does he push forward, or does he allow Serral a little bit more time to buy more stuff and then fall victim to the Zerglings on the flank? But here we go, Serral going for the break. His 1-1 is not done, but baneling speed is. The tank's looking for the big shot. All the banelings in the middle go down. Great split from Ryung here. And while the tanks, they do fall, so much of the army of Serral does as well. There are only 4 banelings on the map as the Marines stimming on top of these queens, and if he gets these banelings, it's going to be a big problem. But more banelings are on the way. The timing that Ryung may have been able to hit, it looks like Serral is going to be able to hold on just long enough, but there is so little energy on these queens now, and they're really what is the most important part of this defense.
They are a very, very crucial part of this. Ryung, he has pushed the creep all the way back. That means this flank will not be as successful if Serral goes for it once again. He's going to have 1-1 done once more. He's trying to cut off reinforcements and will actually be a little bit successful. But once again, unfortunately, there's a couple of medevacs here, which are going to be able to pick up these Marines. Ryung doing a good job of paying attention, but it's that 1-1. We got 4 queens on the way at once from Serral, and he is continuing to outproduce his opponent by just a little bit more over time.
And it should be noted here, Serral has no additional upgrades on the way. He understands that this is the all-in for what it is, so he's just putting everything into making sure that he does not die, make sure the whole happen. But look at this. It looks like he's giving up the 3rd base, saying, I don't know that I can hold this right now. Drone's already getting pulled out because he's got a 4th on the way. Ryung taking an even better position in this game. Overlords are going down, and now as the tanks move forward, the 3rd base will be sacrificed. The question is whether Ryung can get more off of that. There are so many queens on the map, Steadfast.
There are a ton of queens right here. Oh, picking off a tank is huge for Serral. For the first time out of 3 counterattacks, he finally actually gets to kill some units. A great move from Serral. You mentioned that queen count. It is going to start to go and pick away at these frontline units. I actually wouldn't have minded those queens. Does he? Yeah, he's got enough vision to know that there's no army there. He could have potentially taken down one of the tanks in the front line. Will force another liftoff, so good job from Ryung. He's doing a relatively good job of keeping his reinforcements alive. As I say that, though, he is going to lose more and more of them.
Yeah, Steadfast. It felt like Ryung had his one timing when he was able to break his way into the 3rd base early on when those banelings went down. But now the army supplies are starting to equal. Yes, Ryung now has 1-1, so his upgrades are equal. And maybe if he knocks down a lot of these queens, banelings looking to roll on in. Tank can't quite get a good shot, but at the end, oh, so many banelings go down. But there is so much more where that came from. Ryung, he's going to be forced back. Serral still on 3 bases. Serral still on 60 workers. His upgrades, he fails safe enough now to get them as well. Equal army supply. It feels like Ryung's time in this game is up.
At the very least, the threat of kill has significantly dropped, and Serral feels a lot more confident right now, a lot more comfortable. There's not a lot of creep on the map, and Ryung does still have a lot of Marines. He is on 1-1 versus 1-1 for quite a while, but it feels like Serral has just done such a good job. This is like the 5th or 6th time he's cut off reinforcements, and yes, it hasn't always been successful on the kill. Oh my, cool. Ryung almost just lost the game right there. That would have been GG if those lings had gotten in.
So, Steadfast, we have Ryung. He's taking his 3rd base, starting to realize that, okay, this push didn't work. And I don't think he got enough to justify the push, by the way. But he is adding a lot of Liberators on the field to really shore up this pushing position. How do you feel about that?
I think I like it, relatively speaking. Given the game state, given how much creep he's denied, it's a good move. However, there is still quite a bit of creep around this fourth base and well, I guess yeah, now sort of becomes the third base. This one up on the 9 o'clock position. Ryung, though, he's going to move to the fourth base where there is no units. Serral, now he has brought banelings. He is going to try and bust the bust the natural wall, but there's a siege tank set up. Liberators are going to be used defensively now, and Ryung, he's knocked his opponent back to, at least in his eyes, 3 bases once again. Serral, he's already re-expanded the right side once again. He's doing a great job of playing whack-a-mole.
That he has. Ryung's going to try to take his third base right now. It looks like there's a Zergling right there, so it's going to take a second. But the big news, Ryung, his armory is finishing now, so eventually he's going to get into 2-2, sure. But Serral's +2/+2 is almost done. He found that timing where the pressure from Ryung was just not as powerful as it was. So pretty soon, these banelings are going to trade even better against the might of the Terran army, and already they've been doing a fairly good job. Yes, it is a resources lost advantage for Ryung, but no more than a normal TVZ when the Terran actually has an economy behind them.
Also, I misspoke earlier. I said he was playing a great game of whack-a-mole, but in this case, Serral's been the mole, so he's been playing a great game of dodge-a-whack.
Well,
everyone's favorite.
Technically, if you're the mole and you're playing a great game of whack-a-mole, it's not getting whacked, so you're fine there.
True. I like dodge-a-whack. It makes it sound like it makes it sound like some kind of ancient tradition. Yes, dodge-a-whack.
Okay.
We are gonna. Oh, sorry, go on.
This is a lot of stuff here from Serral, and Ryung doing that thing that he's done for a while, getting a big surround, but Serral's going to find his way out because it's a little bit harder to surround a Zerg army with banelings involved than it is, say, a Protoss or a Terran.
Yeah, the banelings just lag behind so much more, but Serral, I don't think we've given him enough credit. He has played an extremely patient, mature, methodical game number 2 from a very scary and honestly rather disadvantageous position after a lot of things went wrong for him. Oh, Ryung kind of stalled out in the middle of the map. He's trying to catch this army. He's looking for it, and he is going to find it. Big cleanup right here for Ryung. Nice moves, killing a ton of banelings. That was... Okay, Battle Report's going to tell us in a second how many banelings that was.
11
banelings and 16 Zerglings. Wow. That's a pretty good find right there for Ryung.
That it is, and Ryung is maxed out, by the way, and only on 47 SCVs. He did not build anymore. This is a massive Terran army. Yeah, it's down on upgrades, but +1/+2 attacks about to be done in a second here. Serral looking to the break right here, right now. Banelings from the left, from the right, and the center. The tanks are going to get found out here. Liberators dealt with by the Hydras, and this army from Ryung we talked about. Oh, wow. He's maxed out. He's not anymore. And Serral, did his supply drop at all? I don't think so.
It certainly didn't feel like it. Only his bank. Oh, my God, those banelings. Could you imagine if he'd caught it on the retreat so close? If he'd unburrowed them just a moment earlier, would have been great. But nonetheless, a magnificent engagement from Serral. He sets up a couple more burrowed banelings. He is cruising in this game. In this creep that was very, very decimated, heavily pushed back, has been respread and is now recovered across the center of the map. And now another engagement coming in from Serral. He's going to catch these tanks out in the open. They were sieged, but they were not prepared. And GG will get called.